We have really one of the more dynamic, controversial products out there in Blanton's. Now, everybody's like, oh, that's tater bourbon. And if you don't know what tater is, Google it. A bourbon tater is someone who basically spends far too much money on a bourbon, and you will find people spend stupid money on this, way over SRP. So this is like, you would say, I guess if you follow that concept, tater bait. So Blanton's, however, a lot of people love it. A lot of people think it's really great. A lot of people think it's the best whiskey in the world. I, on the other hand, have really never been that high on Blanton's. I do, however, love the history behind this bottle. You see, Albert Blanton's was one of the most important people coming out of Prohibition. He was basically the architect behind the George T. Stagg distillery. And he had this program where he would pick special barrels for his friends and he would bottle them. And in fact, he actually would sell them. So Blanton's was the very first single barrel, but a lot of people think it was in the 1980s. He was actually selling them in the 1950s. They weren't necessarily calling them single barrels, but they would be like specially selected or some kind of language like that. Now, I have curated them. I have found them in the market, and I've been a part of like auctions where they sold for like $10,000. Fast forward to the 1980s as bourbon's making its comeback. This bottle right here was basically developed, to target to the Japanese market. The Japanese market was really important for the return of bourbon. Bourbon was doing so well in Japan that the likes of the people we now know as like Willett, Evan Colesfine, was focusing on a lot of his great whiskeys like Noah's Mill in Japan. Jim Beam was working on a project that was called small batching, and Ancient Age, or the George T. Stagg Distillery, developed Blanton's, the very first commercially available single barrel bourbon. And it goes out there, it does really, really well. And one of the things that it also does is it starts taking pop shots at Maker's Mark. See, Maker's Mark in the 1980s was kind of like this rising star, not just in bourbon, but in all of spirits. And Maker's Mark would do things like taunt Jack Daniels and do all these things. They had like this kind of like a guerrilla marketing tactic that was quite good and very effective. Now, Blanton's did the same thing. They took out full-page ads in newspapers across the country, mostly in Kentucky, and they said, oh, Maker's Mark, we see you only talk about your wax. Well, we like to talk about our whiskey. We're sorry your whiskey's not good enough. Keep talking about your wax. We'll talk about our whiskey, or something like that. And so there was like this big rivalry between Blanton's and Maker's Mark in the late 1980s and early 1990s. And they actually had some taste-offs. Blanton's won Lexington, and Maker's Mark won Louisville. So, fun little history there for you. So we actually have a substitute for tonight. I said that we would be tasting Yellowstone in the blind tasting. I actually am out of Yellowstone, so all of these bourbons are kind of close in age, and they're close in proof. So I grabbed one that was just a touch older than the rest, but a little lower in proof, and that's Corner Creek. It's a 10-year-old bourbon at 88 proof, which a very unique proof. Now, I taste these blind, and let me show you how I did tonight's tasting. So I have them actually in glasses this time. There is a sticker underneath here. Once I'm done with the tasting, I will peel that off, and the brand name will be there. I cannot see the brand name through that. You can, I'll try and get it where you can see it, but as you can see, I cannot actually see that brand name through there with the lighting and everything. But I did do this all myself. With COVID, it's made things a little more difficult to do my blind tasting and the schedule of everybody who normally helps me. So I do the best I can with these, and so that's this blind tasting is as blind as I could possibly make it for tonight. Of course, I would rather have somebody pouring for me, but it happens. So tonight, the taste-off is between Blanton's. Now, I did buy this bottle, so this is straight from retail. Elijah Craig, regular Elijah Craig. I also bought this bottle. Horse Soldier, the signature product, which is a little 80. It's 87 proof. So Blanton's is 93 proof. This is 87 proof, so it's pretty close in proof points. This bottle was given to me by the distillery. Wild Turkey 101, a really nice everyday bourbon. Everybody loves this bourbon, who loves it. And it's like bourbon. This stuff has a cult following. It's like, people love Wild Turkey 101, and it's something that I buy on a regular basis, to include this bottle. And Corner Creek, 10-year-old. I already showed you that one. So I bought this one as well. So I bought the majority of the ones on the shelf, and one was given to me by the distillery. So I'm going to go ahead and go to some questions here, see if anyone's got any good questions. Please get those questions in, and I will answer them as quick as I can. Now, if you're not a subscriber to the podcast channel, just click that subscribe button there. The goal is to trying to get to 10,000 subscribers, and we're on our way. We're over 7,000, so become part of the community. It's a lot of fun. After this, I will be tasting the barrel batch 25 to find out if it is going to make it into my Whiskey of the Year competition. And that is going to happen in the members-only community at the singling level. So if you'd like to see that after this, join the after party. Click that. You have to be on your desktop, but click the join button that's next to the subscription button. The members will kind of help direct you. But it's a good time. We have a lot of fun in there. But of course, I'm doing these live streams and a lot more on YouTube. This content's also getting syndicated to go somewhere, to go onto other channels. But, it starts here. It starts at YouTube. It starts with you guys every night, or, a little bit more regular, of like twice a night. Now that things are, winding down a little bit for me, trying to get these tastings in twice a week, these live tastings. When I was doing them every night, I quickly realized that I don't think I could contain that. So we're trying to, keep this all going, having some great times with everyone. ADH Whiskey, he's a YouTuber as well. What's going on, man? Good to see you. Eric in the house. Eric's in the house. Let's see. Chris Green asks, could the winner of this blind tasting face off against Yellowstone when you get it back in stock? Chris, that's a great idea. Hold me to it, because I'm going to do it. But there is a 99.72% chance that I will forget it after this tasting. But I love that idea. Remind me later. Alan's coming in from Chicago. Let us know what you're drinking tonight. We got a very healthy chat going. What are you drinking? Where are you from? And man, let's have some fun tonight. Kyle's asking me what's the best affordable sipper. Look, I'm tasting one of them tonight, and that's Wild Turkey 101. Let's find out how it fares in the taste off tonight. But I tell you what, it is hard to beat for the money. Hard to beat for the money. Boy, Gary Pina over here is he's hating on a little bit of he's hating on Corner Creek pretty hard, man. Really hard. Adam says Evan Williams Bottled and Bond is the best everyday bourbon. Well, actually, that was what won my best everyday bourbon last year for my Whiskey of the Year competition. Jeff's having a little bit of baby Saz tonight. I don't know if I ever told you all this story, but I actually didn't. When people used to say, "Hey, do you like baby Saz? Do you like baby Saz?" I didn't know what the hell they were talking about. I'm not an abbreviation guy. I don't like using acronyms. They were used too much in the Army when I was in the Army, so I was like, I don't like using them. So I later learned that baby Saz meant Sazerac, so that was kind of That was kind of funny. David says Broken Bell, cheap and discontinued. Brandon's drinking a little bit of Parish Brewing Dr. Juice IPA. Okay. Too hot for bourbon. Okay. So Pete Sabo asked me a really good question. Fred, what are your current feelings about single barrels without age expressions? Should Blantons go to age statements? Well, let's see here. I believe that age statements. The reason why they don't have the reason why companies do not have age statements is because it pigeonholes them into that age range, and it also in terms of the market as well. There's always a chance that like their business is booming and they can't get that whiskey out in time, so they'll lower the age. So by not having a target age, from a business perspective, it makes a lot of sense not to have an age statement. As a consumer, I think it's horseshit. I think everybody should have an age statement. I actually think it should be federal law to put how many barrels you have on there and the age of every barrel. But that's just me. When I wrote Bourbon Curious in 2013, or when it was published in 2013, we didn't even have, people didn't even put mash bills on their labels. And now, 7 years later, people are putting mash bills on there. I think that's great. I think the more information we can put on a label, the better we are treating the consumer. That is just my that's just my opinion. Now, Bob makes a really good point. Age feels like an ascot. I like to know how old it is. And this ascot, 10 years old. 10 years old. Danny Lynn asks, off the topic question, was Old Tub, of course, the new national release from Jim Beam, was Old Tub planned because of COVID and lack of visitors? I think that's probably a pretty good theory, and that's okay. It's okay if that's how they played it. I'm all right with that. All right, Aces is drinking a little bit of Evan Williams Black Label. All right. I like that. Okay, folks. I think it's time to taste. What do you think? Who's with me? So I'm going to go right to left, and as you can see, I got little watch things over a little watch glass. I got watch glass over the glassware. Kind of the first glass is kind of grainy, kind of it smells like I just opened a can of tomato soup in grain. That is not a smell I necessarily want to smell off the bat. Feels really grainy. Feels really doesn't feel complete. It feels like grain and vegetables and a little bit of herb. Just a slight hint. Just a slight hint of like oregano or something, like those herb. Like herb is a little bit more defined as like oregano for me. Now I do like taking questions as we're going here. Adam Fraser asks a wonderful question. What does the swirling the whiskey do? Does it do anything, or is it just habit? It is absolutely habit at this point, but it does have an effect. See, when you swirl it around, by swirling it around, you're pushing the aromatic properties up. Okay, so if you just kind of come in here without doing anything to the liquid, without agitating it in any way, that they're basically just going to be down there. It's almost like, look, it's a distillate, but it still needs to be. It's not quite like Hershey syrup and milk where you got to shake it up every time you pick it up. But you do need to pushed it a little bit so those aromatic properties can jump up. But great question. Thanks for asking that. I really appreciate that. I love good questions. So Adam, make sure you're going on over to my website, fredminnick.com. Hit me up. I'll send you a sticker. Okay, so glass 2. Really not impressed with glass 1. Glass 1 was it didn't shine a lot. Didn't shine a lot for me. Ooh, glass 2 is all of what's up here. Ladies and gentlemen, Wayne Bruner in the house. How about it for Wayne Bruner? Now, Wayne, if you're not familiar with my YouTube, you're now getting all kinds of applauses and everything on the YouTube side. Head on over there if you're on Facebook, Twitch, Periscope. After this tasting, the Singling Level members, we're going to have an after party where I make the decision as to whether or not Barrel Batch 25 is going to be in my Whiskey of the Year contenders. Now, Andrew Clark is he's borderline about to get banned here. Like, I mean, we might have to take a vote on this later. He's asking a question: will swirling my vodka in my glass open up to the aromatic properties and make it not suck? Now, I actually think that might make it suck more. But listen, what do I know? I don't know anything about vodka, but vodka sucks. Andrew's always loving to throw in a little bit of vodka love there. Good for you, Andrew. Okay, so here we go. Okay, so I'm getting some like cinnamon here, like some fun cinnamon red hots. After that, it's like a little bit of a smoked paprika. So there's like some smoke and some baking spices. We'll hit the nutmeg, a little hatch chili. I dig that. Glass 2's nice. To glass 3. Keep those questions coming in, folks. I'm just going to be tasting and talking, kind of going back and forth with you all. Three feels a little bit like it's a bit like a caramel pudding. It reminds me of a pudding, like in structure. You know how some puddings just kind of oil these up. Oil your palate up. Gary is asking the question: is it blind? Yes, this is a blind tasting, or at least as blind as I've been able to make it. I did do the pouring, but what I did was when I wrote on pieces of paper and folded them and taped them underneath the bottom of the glass where I can pull them off later. And then I poured them, and then I mixed up the glasses, and then I set them down here and put watch glass on them. And that's the best I could do, with the amount of time I had. Believe it or not, preparing for a blind tasting, it actually takes a lot of time. And so, no longer having someone here helping me, it takes a toll for sure. And I just wrapped up I just did my tasting with Ndamukong Suh. That'll be coming up on a future episode. But Ndamukong Suh, the NFL superstar now with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, we had an incredible tasting together. Just a great guy, a lot of fun, and he was. That was a pretty long interview, and we had a little bit of whiskey. Then after that, I went home and I made dinner, and then I rushed over here, and here I am. 2 is nutmeg forward. Has a resounding nutmeg note. It has some like pumpernickel bread. Dramhound asked me if I plan on getting an assistant soon. Actually, yes, I do. I do plan to go back to that. I hired some people that were of a greater priority for me. I just hired a video editor, incredible dude, and hired my good buddy Kevin Gibson, who's kind of like a utility. I mean, like in baseball, he's the guy who can play every position. So he's kind of like my utility guy, and he works in Bourbon as well. So he helps me out with a lot of stuff. So, but that is definitely on the need. However, in terms of like the ability to pay, 3 or 4 people, that's a little bit different of a conversation because COVID just whipped my business upside down. But I'm a fighter, so we've rebounded nicely. This YouTube channel saved me in a lot of ways. You all have been my inspiration. You guys have helped me so much. When I lost all my events, I started doing these live streams every night, and it was you guys who got me out of the misery pits, and where I was able to talk about bourbon again, and not just kind of be, not just look at the situation of like, oh my gosh, I lost my entire live events business. I'm no longer going to be able to go to restaurants. When am I going to go to bars again? Bourbon and beyond. I'm not going to be on stage there. What am I going to do? And saying, instead of the what ifs, this community, this YouTube community, the membership group, you guys saved me. You guys pulled me out. You gave me the motivation to do these tastings and basically drink every night. So thank you for drinking with me, sipping bourbon with me as often as you do. But I say it often, but you all mean a lot to me. So thank you. So glass 4 was really nice. I think glass 4 is is an interesting one that has quite a bit of flavor. But I was like, I'm tasting it, and I'm like, why aren't you at cask strength? You know what I mean? I was like, I want to taste you at a higher proof. In fact, all of these, I feel like they're nice, but they could be better. Pete Soho asking a great question. He asks, what's an essential whiskey movie you all should see? The Hustler with Paul Newman in it. The Hustler, basically, bourbon is used throughout it, and it's like they're drinking it constantly, and specifically requesting JTS Brown. It's great. I'm with you, Laura. Drinking bourbon has definitely been on the uptick the last few months. Oh, that's good. So it comes in pretty floral. Some floral with some like earth undertones. A really nice on the palate. It's pretty well layered with some nutmeg, some chocolates. I like number 5 a lot. It has quite a bit of depth to it. I'm pretty sure I'm putting 1 at dead last, but I want to taste it again. Yeah, 1 is just too. It feels too young. Feels like the grains just aren't ripe enough. It's just not there. So that one's definitely not doing it for me. Looks like Patrick's drinking a little bit of Old Forester 1920. Definitely a good one. Glass 2 has some really nice back palate kind of spice. Two and three are pretty similar, and they both kind of approach the back palate. Three spends a little bit more time on that back palate and walks itself toward the middle, whereas two is just spending most of that time on the back palate. So I'm thinking I'm leaning toward eliminating two at this point due to the fact that it does not have it doesn't have that same kind of walkthrough on the palate. However, I believe that 5 and 4 are better than both of these, but I just need to confirm that. I'll go ahead and look at some questions here. Adam saying 2 sucks. Everybody knows that. Healthy to Breathe says, did you by any chance help vote and rate the Buffalo Trace Single Barrel Oak Project? I did manage to get a bottle, and I believe got 88. I tasted through all that stuff, but I did not do any of the public voting. I did not. Amber, thank you for joining. Finishing dinner's wine, then doing our own blind tasting. All right, Amber. How about it for Amber's blind tasting, everybody? Whoop, whoop. Love to find out what you are tasting and how they rank. So make sure you hit us up later. Go to fredminnick.com. Just shoot me an email or come over in the member community and brag up your rankings. We love that over there. You know what? I apologize. I know a lot of people are having dinner and everything, but this is really and truly the best time for me. As we were like focusing, as I was trying to do like 9 o'clock every night or every other night, it just was not doable, you know, in my personal life. So I appreciate you all taking the time away from dinner or having me with dinner and doing this. But you know, I love doing these tastings. I love hanging out with you all. It's just such a great time. So I'm going to go to glass 4. You know, glass 4 is like, I mean, it's starting to remind me of like a cake in the oven. Like a vanilla cake in the oven with some spice in there. Like maybe there's some nutmeg in there. I mean, I like it. I don't love it. There's just a bit of cinnamon on the back there. Okay, so 5 definitely is my leader. 5 is definitely on the leaderboard for me. I think 4 has a shot. And I wouldn't rest on 3. But definitely 2. Glass 2 is going into 3rd place. Sarah. So Sarah's just joining us. I'm going to go ahead and give everybody a quick peek at the bourbons we are tasting here tonight. And it's looking like it's a little hard for you all to maybe see. But we're tasting Blanton's up against Elijah Craig, Horse Soldier, Wild Turkey 101, and Corner Creek. So basically, Blanton's against these. They're all in that same kind of proof and age range. There might be a little difference in proof here and there. For example, Wild Turkey's obviously 101 proof. Blanton's is 93. Elijah Craig's 94 proof. The Corner Creek is 88, and Horse Soldier is 87. However, those are all in like a blind tasting flight. In a blind tasting flight, there's definitely a chance that something that's 93 proof could knock out something that's 101 proof. Okay, so let's go to glass 3 through 5. That's what we're basically focusing on here. I've got 3 and 5 right here. And 4. Now, what I'm about to say is not going to make a lot of sense. But if you're into horse racing, it'll make sense to you. 3 and 5, to me, they're either 1 or they're 3. I'm pretty confident that glass 4 is going to be in second place, because glass 4 is a different approach of a bourbon, and it has the different things going for it. Both of these hit the back of the palate and walk themselves forward. This kind of hits around the middle of the palate and kind of hits the front, goes toward the front, and then it goes toward the back. And then there's a lot of flavor in between there. I'm not finding that it's hitting all, I'm not finding that it's electrifying the palate. However, the flavors that are there are really, really strong. And it hits the tip of the tongue, whereas these two, 3 and 5, really focus on the back of the palate. So these are kind of like spice monsters. And this is sweet. And for whatever reason, tonight, the palate is really leaning toward the spice. Of course, I could change my mind, and that's the way things work around here. Okay. Glass 3 is going into third place. No, third place. Glass 4 is going to go into second place. And the reason why, again, I really liked Glass 3's, the way it kind of connected on that back palate. However, it never fully hit the tip of my tongue. So it never walked itself up to the front. Whereas Glass 2, it hits the middle, goes toward the front, and then walks itself back. Meanwhile, Glass 5 hits the back of the palate. It starts at the back of the palate, and then it's walking itself there forward. Now, it never leaves the tongue. It never hits the top of my roof. It never hits the bottom of my jawline. But none of these bourbons do. These are all... I would not classify any of these as great bourbons. I would classify these as in that everyday sipper league. I wouldn't say anything that I have tasted tonight felt special on my tongue. So take that for what it is. But nothing here to me would lead me to think what I tasted tonight would be going toward a a 90-point score or above. So, well, maybe 5. 5's an 89-ish, like borderline 90-pointer. So, I'll answer a few questions here and see what we got. What do you think the order is? I mean, a lot of you all know my palates. You've been watching me for a while. Corey's saying that he's thinking it's 101. Elijah Craig, Blanton's. And now he wants to do a blind tasting of those 3. Okay, Amber is suggesting that it's a Michter's 20-year-old. That was not in the tasting, but that sounds really, really good. Adam says he always keeps Blanton's on the shelf just as a decoy to keep any guest away from the actual good stuff. Okay. Craig over on Facebook asked me, what is a special bourbon in my opinion? You know, there's a lot of special bourbons out there, but I would say, shit, I wrote a book on it, man. I don't know if I can answer that on YouTube, but every distillery in Kentucky of the big distilleries has special bourbons. You got to kind of know to look. I think Booker's is a special bourbon. I think the Elijah Craig barrel proofs are special bourbons. I think Old Forester 1920 is special. And on the lower proof side, you know, I mean, man, I'm a big fan of Knob Creek. You know, it's just basic 100 proof 9-year-old bourbon. Good stuff. So Gary thinks it's going to be Elijah Craig, 101, Blanton's, Horse, and then Corner. Okay, all right. Kevin thinks it's more likely to see Pappy in his liquor store than Blanton's. Interesting. Brandon asked me my thoughts on Lock, Stock, Barrel. Now that's the founder of that brand died a couple years ago. He was, I think they put out like a 16-year-old Canadian whiskey, Canadian rye, that was phenomenal. And I think I spent $300 on a bottle, or something like that. And the bottle's no longer in the house. So you asked me, is it worth the high SRP? Well, I can only comment that I spent that money on that one. So, but I do recall the first batch not being good as the other ones. So there you go. Tony's like, Blanton's used to be a wow, but in the last few years, it's been hit and miss. I mean, really, you know, we should be anything that is in that single barrel category. You really should be kind of coming in with an expectation that it's going to be inconsistent. You see, every single barrel is going to yield a different whiskey. While they're in the middle of studying it, I think it's a little bit of art. I think it's more art than science in terms of what becomes, you know, great, and what just becomes meh. You know, and so like all these single barrels that are being done from Blanton's, you know, they get them as consistent as they can, but no 2 barrels yield the same whiskey. Always remember that. So when you play that single barrel game, inconsistent is the key word to remember. Roscoe P. Coltrane says, I like Blanton's, but I'd like to find Four Roses single barrel cask strength. Oh, that's where it's at right there. Four Roses single barrel cask strength. So good, so good. So who wants to find out what are the winners tonight? How about it? Let me go ahead and let me get the stuff lined up here. Yeah, shit. So as you can tell, I'm typing and going to get this all lined up where we go. We have it written in, and you guys get to see who won what. But get the questions in while I'm doing this, and let's get the questions in there while I'm typing this up. I don't mean to do suspense. Like, I should maybe have this. You could say, well, Fred, why aren't you more prepared for this? Listen, man, I was back to back to back to back, and barely got to hug my kids before I came over. So it's a lot of work goes into all of this stuff. And I just had a great interview, like I mentioned earlier, with Ndamukong Suh, the badass defensive end for Tennessee. And just a little bit of a teaser there. He talked about how he's not going to be able to hit his favorite quarterback to hit is now his teammate. Okay, so here we are, and that being Tom Brady. All right, so coming in at number 5 is Horse Soldier. So Horse Soldier, again, that came in really grainy. It felt very young to me. And this is definitely with the memory of it, tasting it previously, that falls in line with I had, thought previously. A lot of good questions coming in. Someone asked me about Scott here. What's the best Four Roses yeast strain? I am a huge F yeast fan. F yeast and K yeast are my 2 favorites. I love F and K. Maybe because they're just missing a few letters for another word. Okay, let's go to see what's number 4. As you may recall, I really like number 4. I just did not, or the glass that was number 4, it just did not, or that came in 4th place, it just did not, go past the back of my palate like I wanted it to. Okay, so coming in 4th place tonight, gonna be a shocker for a lot of you all. Gonna be a shocker. Wild Turkey coming in at number 4. As mentioned on the taste, it kind of like stayed in the back of the palate, did not really move forward. So that was coming in at 4th place. Keep those questions coming in, though. I did like this glass. I did like this one quite a bit, but it just did not do it for me. All right. Let's see. And again, folks, this is why we blind taste. This is why we blind taste. Coming in at number 3. Corner Creek. Corner Creek comes in 3rd place. So that means that the final 2 glasses are down to Elijah Craig and Blanton's. So Elijah Craig and Blanton's are down to the final 2. Matt is asking me if I'm sure I didn't mix these up. Matt, I'm positive this time. I'm 1,000% positive this time because I did the pouring. I hope my wife is not watching that because I'll get back in trouble. Matt, you may have got me down down that slippery slope where I get in trouble. And if you all missed it, a couple tastings ago, I was I was sure that the blind tasting was mixed up. In fact, I know I was 1,000% right. It was totally. And so I called my wife on the live stream, and she was like, "You're calling me in the middle of your live stream, and I'm on speaker?" I was like, yeah. Yeah, I was in trouble. I need to follow Patrick's advice here and not go in there. That's what I need to do. Yeah, so you can definitely see the Wild Turkey Mafia is out there. They're already upset that Wild Turkey came in 4th place. I mean, it happens. This is why we do blind tastings. You know, one day this is how it's going to go. Maybe tomorrow a Wild Turkey wins. But it's like this with everybody. I would recommend that you actually take 5 things, taste them, and rank them every single day for a month, and just to see how different you rank them. And don't focus on what they are, but focus on what is feeling in the moment to you right there. What are you picking up? What do you like more? Where is it hitting on the palate? Where is it not hitting on the palate? What's that sweet spot you got that it ain't touching? That is the whole point of tasting, is you just keep on tasting and tasting and tasting and tasting until you pick the one you like. So in at number 2, let me go back. It's going to do a confirmation tasting. Oh, yeah. This is definitely confirmed. Okay, coming in at number 2. So there you have it, folks. Elijah Craig, the regular Elijah Craig, is number 1. It wins this blind tasting. And what's fascinating about this, what just is just absolutely fascinating about it, is that I was talking about like where I would put this. I think when I was rating whiskeys for Whiskey Advocate, I think I rated this either an 89 or a 90. And you all saw me kind of like, well, I was going back and forth with it, like where I would put it. And in fact, I rated Blanton's, quite a bit lower than that. So I just think it's fascinating to me that this exercise kind of like fell into like some past tastings of mine that I've done. Really, really cool. So I picked Elijah Craig over Blanton's. Now, the difference between these two is this one is so highly sought after, you cannot find it. You will find it on the market at crazy whack job websites and liquor stores for $600. And people, when they see this bottle, they get all like, "Oh my God, I gotta have Blanton's, I gotta get it. But this right here, this is available like almost everywhere. This is widely available. And knowingly, I would buy this over this, but here in a blind tasting tonight, I picked this very consistent, tasty product over this one. However, this one pissed me off a lot more than this one did a few years ago. This used to have a 12-year-old age statement, and you heard me talk about it from the very top that I love age statements. Everybody should have age statements. They peeled off a 12-year-old age statement that should still be there today. Still mad about that, but I'm not that mad. It's just like, bring back the age statement. It's okay, Heaven Hill. You got the liquid. You can afford it. 12 years old. 12 years old. 12 years old. Okay, that's enough. So there we go, folks. I'm just going to go ahead and move these off a little bit more to the side so we can have a little bit more of a conversation. Fred, can you sell a couple bottles of Blanton's for, say, 10%? I could use quick cash. LO. No, Greg. Bad Greg. We don't sell whiskey here. This is not, I'm not even allowed to put links in there for you to buy them. Bad Greg. Bad. Bad Greg. Man. Oh, Jeffrey's drinking a little bit of that Elijah Craig 12-year-old from a few years ago in my honor. Thank you, Jeffrey. I appreciate that. I missed that whiskey. That was so good. That was so good. Hey, everybody. Jim's going to be in Louisville in a couple weeks, and he wants to know what distillery he should visit. Listen, man, I don't know what things are going to look like in 2 weeks, but if I'm frankly honest with you, I would be going to Bardstown and Frankfurt and Laredo. But if you haven't been to Rabbit Hole yet, I think Rabbit Hole is a spectacle. I think it's a beautiful piece of architecture. And if it's open and you can get to it and things have died down there, go check out Rabbit Hole. Your article was so great, and then I found 7 bottles a few days ago. I wonder which article you're talking about there. I write a lot, so let me know which one you're talking about there, Jeffrey. I appreciate the kind words, though. Definitely do. Chris says, would you like to send you some Rebecca Creek 12-year-old if you would do a review? Look, man, people send me stuff all the time. I never promise reviews. I never say anything. You can send me something if you like, but I mean, that doesn't mean you're going to get a good review. And some people are like, hey, man, we sent you that bottle and you trashed on it. Listen, that's the way. I'm honest, and I never intend anything to be personal. But it's just, if you want to send it, please do. But I do disclose that, when something's sent, but feel free to. Yes. Thank you. And okay, let's see here. Has the gold even been released in the States? We've been trying to buying them from Europe and have them shipped. I don't know. COVID's really changed the structure. COVID's really, really changed things in terms of how stuff gets shipped and how things are getting, put in distribution. So it's very, very different. Yeah, really digging it. Really, really digging this Elijah Craig. Well, everybody, I really appreciate the coming and hanging out with me. I think I'm very decisive with tonight's win. I felt like this was a great tasting. This was not meant in any way, shape, or form to insult any particular whiskey. I just think it's important. I really think it's important to taste blind as much as you can to determine whether or not you like something. And what I'm doing here, it's partly entertainment, but I'm trying to educate people. I'm trying to show you all the process in hopes that you can apply that in your own tastings, and in hopes that you can, buy bottles of bourbon and rum and other types of whiskeys that, appeal to you. I don't feel like we should be led by marketing or packaging or hype or anything like that, but rather find your way. Find like what hits, the palate that you like. Find out how you like to taste. And if I can just kind of give a little bit of advice here and there, and you can learn something from me, man, you've made my day. Like I said, COVID has just came and it drove a train right through everything that I do. But this community has saved me. It's helped me so much. And I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate you coming and hanging out, spending a little time with me during dinner, and having just man, we just have so much fun over here. Of course, I'm the one. I hope you're having a little bourbon too, but I'm the one over here like drinking bourbon, and it's great. But I'm going to go over to the member community now at the singling level. If you'd like to join us, we're gonna make a determination as to whether or not there's a bourbon that's going to take it to that next level. From our American Whiskeys of the Year, which I do live. I do all my tastings live now. Well, not all my tastings live, but I do my competition kind of stuff live later at the end of the year. And I've been announcing to my members and publicly later on what whiskeys are my contenders for the year. And so if you all want to come and hang out on the member side, we have a great time. We'd love to have you. But just thank you so much for joining tonight. Click that subscribe button if you haven't. Hit the like button. It helps me. This is all about algorithms. I don't say these things because I want to hit my chest and all that, but that's the saying subscribe and hit like. It's part of the YouTube game, and unfortunately, I have to play that side of the game. I'd rather not, but once I get the algorithm truck going, I won't have to do it as much. So I appreciate you all helping me out. I'm trying to get to that 10,000 mark. So if you can help me out, I'd appreciate it. So grab whatever glass you have left. I know you've been sipping some bourbon at home. So grab whatever glass you have left, and cheers to you. Cheers to all the great bourbon distilleries out there. May we all kind of come back in force and support one another. But please make good whiskey. Don't make bad whiskey. And whatever you do, I know it's easy to do. I know you can make more money at it sometimes. But don't make vodka. Vodka sucks. Unless it's being used for hand sanitizer. That'll do it for tonight, everybody. I'll see the members on the member side. Cheers.